December 18th, 2023. We will call the Environmental Services Utility Board meeting to order. And we will start at this time with public comments. If there's any public comments at this time, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move on to roll call. Present.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Here.
Alderman Cruz.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien.
Here.
Alderman O'Tinker.
Present.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Here.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Jones.
Present.
Clerk Dahl. Here.
We do have a quorum. We'll move on to item 3. We have 2 sets of minutes for approval. We have minutes from October 16th, 2023. We also have the minutes from our last meeting of November 20th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve both set of minutes?
So moved, Mayor Curtis.
We have a motion from Alderman Osinga. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderwoman Lewis. Is there any questions, comments, changes, or additions to the minutes for either October 16th or November 20th? Seeing or hearing none, roll call.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Aye.
Alderman Cruz.
Aye.
Alderman O'Brien.
Aye.
Alderman O'Tinker.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson. Aye. Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Dahl. Aye. Thank you.
Okay, our minutes for October 16th, 2023 and November 20th, 2023 are approved. Next, we will move into the approval of bills. Before you, you have the bills for December 18th, 2023. Those total in the amount of $696,749.68. You also have, we previously approved at City Council with the bills from December 4th in the amount of $288,577.93 for a total of $985,327.61. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderman Jones. Is there any questions or comments regarding the bills?
Okay.
Alderwoman Johnson.
All right. I see we had some uniform reimbursements. I thought the limit was $200 each.
I believe it's 3, but Mr. Lopez?
So,
Can you pull your mic down real quick? Sorry.
the mechanics get 200, and the rest of the bargaining unit gets 300.
Okay.
And it's from December to December, so that's why you saw a lot of them now. They'll have their receipts in, and you'll see some more next month because they get it in by the end of December, because it starts back up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Aye.
Alderman Cruz.
Aye.
Alderman O'Brien.
Aye.
Alderman O'Tinker.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Dahl.
Aye.
The bills are approved. We're now going to move on to item 5, our reports, and we will start with ESU Street and Alley Report. Mr. Lopez.
Good evening. Everything's pretty much in the report. We did have a breakdown with our patch machine. The back axle isn't very well. It's down. It's broken, so we have to put a new one in. It's a week out, so we're hoping to get that back up. So,
The new patch?
no, that one's put away for the winter. It's our cold patch machine, the one that we use during the winter, the yellow one. Yeah. And of course, we're done with leaves, but if someone calls you and they say they have leaves, just tell them to put it in bags. At this point, we don't even care what kind of bags. They could put it in plastic bags. We just pick them up, and we just take them to the dumpster behind our shop. So that way we can help them out. But that's the only way we'll pick them up.
Any questions for Mr. Lopez? Councilwoman Johnson. No, that's what we're here for.
Number 7 for your equipment that went down, is that a loader from 1985?
Well, it's not down. See, last year we had to spend $25,000 to get the motor rebuilt. Well, the motor wasn't sealed properly, so we sent it back at their cost to get everything fixed. They paid for the towing, the hauling to and from Lowell, Indiana, and they're fixing it. So that is one of our older ones, and our second next oldest one is
1999.
1999 Volvo, and then our next oldest one's a 23.
So this one's almost 40 years old?
Yes,
Okay.
and we keep it around for when we have storms and stuff. We really need 3 of them. We could use 3 every day. Today we have a skidster out to do stumps because the loader's is being fixed. We use 3 loaders almost daily.
And if the loader is what we just purchased this fall, you'll
A wheel loader, front loader, yes.
get in the hang of it. And then I'd like to congratulate your retirees.
Thank you. We had 2 retirees in the last month, so.
Can we get antique plates for the loader?
Huh?
Can we get antique plates for the loader?
It's a workhorse. It is, when everything else broken down, it still runs. And we just put the new motor in it thanks to you guys last year. And that will buy us probably, hopefully, another 5 years on it, 10 years.
50 years old.
Trees, I saw that. How hard are we gonna go at trees in the winter?
We're gonna get 2 crews out daily, and we're gonna take down the priority ones down, and then we're gonna do canopy raises, up and down, upper lower view right now because they've been neglected because we spent so much time doing the ash trees that we've neglected our canopy raises. So that's one of the things that Mr. Hassick wants to take care of. He wants to do that. So.
I think I saw y'all on Lincoln. Y'all took care of that big mess that was right.
Yeah, that right there on Lincoln, 300 block of Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah, but taken care of. I saw y'all out there. I wanted y'all to keep coming.
So. You're welcome. Well, I called everybody. It started with Alderman O'Brien. It went to Alderman Jones and to you. So it just all went. We're all aware of it. And, the tree is down. We trimmed up the other one next to it. So hopefully the homeowner's happy.
Can you give us a quick update? It's a good thing, I guess, but the salt, we have lots of it.
Yes. So we are sitting probably on a year's worth of salt, and we have a year's worth of salt ordered. So with that, we order 2,000 ton of salt, but we're obligated to take 20% of it, which is 1,600 that we have to pay for. So we're either going to have to figure out where we're going to pray for snow, maybe not over Christmas, but to use the salt. But if not, we're going to have to find locations to put it. So right now hopefully we use some so we can fill up our barns again, and then we'll have to find some places to put it. So that's something we're going to need to discuss because we do a state bid now. So once you do the state bid, and I was always told by Dennis, if you lower it, you're stuck at that one. You can never go up. It's hard to go up. It's easy to go down, but it's hard to go up to predict a bad winter. You want, 2,400 ton. So you can't, we order 2,000. So we have to discuss, we have so much in surplus, what would we do later?
A good problem.
It's a good problem. It's a great problem. Because I've worked here when there was a salt shortage, and we had to take sand and mix it with the salt, and just to stretch it out. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Lopez? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to ESU Technical Services Report.
Good evening, everyone. Everything is running routine with technical services, but I just want to bring to your attention, I wasn't here last month, so prior to that, I had mentioned that we had lost a traffic cabinet at Wall and Court or West Station. We have ordered that. It has come in. There was another incident at the 1200 block of East Court. That was on November 7th, and it was a city light pole, one of the black poles. That was like right in front of that vacant lot, right by the House of Prayer. Okay, so that person did have insurance. The first person did not. So our team has also rewired the entire new police building. The only thing that they have left to do is lights for the outside and any IT network that will, cable that will be going into the building. Other than that, we were working hard at getting Christmas together in the month of November. And I just want to say thanks to Zach for lending me a helping hand. He actually himself stuck by my side throughout all the decorating. And I want to thank him for allowing the sewer crew to do all the lifting for me. And I also have to thank these two young men right here, Frank and Lopez. This year's plan was made with Jim Hand last year. We always do Christmas and then we start thinking about next Christmas. Unfortunately, we lost Jim Hand. And I was so nervous because I'm like, who would fill, those are big shoes to fill, who would fill it? Well, I found the perfect person to help me. And I just want to thank you guys. Brandon Collins and Ramiro are awesome. And I want to go on the record to say I need them next year too. So I just want to thank everybody that participated, Kyle and Eric. Fritz, new to the sewer crew from DPW. He was a helpful hand at your building on the outside doing the lights. So we just thank everyone for the great ESU teamwork that was provided this year.
Because you may not be here at the council meeting, but I actually want to say miss all what she's done over the last 45 days, and it's probably only been 30 or 45 days, but the city we keep putting more on your plate. We keep expanding with the lights. Probably thinking about maybe more for next year because I think the residents really like it and the employees of how things are looking in the holiday season. But thank you to your leadership and with everybody that you just mentioned, because we've gotten, at least I've gotten and seen a lot of compliments of how things are looking in the city. Whether it's been this building, the admin building, the streets and everything else. So thank you for everything that you've done. I know it seems like it gets longer and longer each year, and it's a lot of work, but it makes a lot of people feel good.
Yes, and actually we are going to, I spoke with Superintendent Newton. That actually sounds really good. But we are going to have a meeting Wednesday, and we're inviting DPW over to meet with us so that we can have a full plan instead of waiting, to the fall time. And we'll have a plan of action for next Christmas.
Just kind of while we're on that, we're also looking at, if you notice this year, we had a lot of the Christmas trees on the poles joining the snowflakes. There's a pretty substantial sale going on right now through January, where it's not 2 to 1 quite, but frankly, but it's pretty good. Our goal is to, financially where we can do it, but we'd like to extend this from where it ends now, which is just past the courthouse. Our ultimate goal is to get all the way to I-57 down Court Street, so we have all of Court Street lit up, and then continue moving as we can west, and then also down Schuyler Avenue across the bridge and north and everything. So it's probably a 2 or 3 year plan to get to everything there, but each year we're going to continue to try to add to it so that hopefully we wake up in the future and our 2 main arterial roads are doing really well. Any questions for Ms. Hall?
I just want to say everything looks beautiful. So thanks for the great work you guys are doing, partnering with each other to make the city look good. And this council room and at the administration building, it all looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Alderman Jones.
Yes, and also I want to also thank you. I know I called you early in the morning about our lights, Cedar, and I see you all on top of it.
Yeah.
I think you said it takes, how long, like 14?
About 14 business days.
14 business
Yes.
days. We got 2 of them out.
Yep.
In there, and I was explaining to him, it was pretty dark in that area. And I didn't even know who my constituent was. She was fussing at me. Can't see it. None of that. Well, I didn't know the light was out, but I told her it'd be probably done in about 2 weeks. Thank you for that, and also thank you for the administrative building. I used that building the other day with my family. We came in and got a picture. We really enjoyed it. My wife and my son's birthday on the same. That getting too expensive.
Wow.
I'm at see if I can't change that.
Thank you.
I joked a little bit with her. I said, you guys are setting the bar higher each year. Just can't go backwards.
Yeah, tough.
I can tell you, people at the administration building really like it. It looks beautiful when you go out of there at night, so.
Yeah,
And during
it
the day
is.
too, but when it's lit up, it looks
Oh,
beautiful.
great. Thank you.
Next, we will move on to our sewer services report. At least this time, Zach, double duty it.
Thank you. Yeah, just a handful of sewer calls this month, and kind of like always, pretty average month as far as that goes. A little bit less area cleaning, but still a pretty solid number. The lift stations, pretty routine as well, just some standard things. A couple mechanical seals, going through the block heaters, checking those, replacing those, preparing for winter. Gar Creek having a little bit of issues, but that's, again, pretty routine, just pulling the pump, cleaning it, getting it back in service, and backing out the wet well at Mantino. It seems like we have to do that every couple of weeks. It's just a new kind of routine now. As far as the hydro is concerned, all the reporting's it's done on that, caught up to date. We got some annual reports that are coming due soon. Nothing to worry about. The relicensing study for the hydro, the recreational study, it's ongoing. We got maybe another couple of weeks of data that we're going to collect and put that together, so that's done. In the coming year, I don't quite know exactly what studies we'll have to do, but I'm sure there'll be a couple that'll be requested of us from either the DNR or Fish and Wildlife Service, but that's kind of an ongoing and expected thing. NORCAN was here this past week to take a look at the hydro. They brought a bigger team down. It's on the agenda later. I can get more into it then, but that was a really good, productive visit, and I got some good updates on that. Building maintenance wise, just again, pretty standard stuff, fixing sinks and heaters and that sort of thing. All in all, pretty routine.
Any questions for Superintendent Lee? Alderman?
I see tuck pointing on the east side of the building to stop a leak in the squad room. When we remodeled this building, did we do tuck pointing work back when all this remodeling was done? That going bad already?
Honestly, I don't recall. I don't recall if tuck pointing was part of that. I don't know if it was just interior.
I don't remember that being done myself.
I don't think
I got a good memory, but it's short, so.
Comptroller Kubo, you have
Mayor, were you going to explain this, or do you want me to give my memory?
go ahead. Or,
Yeah.
I know we've got it budgeted, but I don't think it was done in 2008, but I could be wrong.
It wasn't all completed, as I recall, when we did some of the tuck pointing, and then we had to go and do other walls. That's my memory on it.
So in this year's capital budget, if you look, so if you remember last year, there was a lot of work that was done on the south side here. That is 100% complete now.
Yes.
The concern was on the east side of the building here is there was, whenever it rained, it was coming in pretty heavily right over the windows. That was in the patrol room?
Yep.
And then some other places, so we had that done as almost kind of like an emergency fix, because if it rained, it came in hard. We've got in this year's capital budget to do the other 3 walls on this building. I'm trying to remember that total cost, 140, 130, somewhere?
Yeah.
And that's doing the east, west, and north walls, and we have not done that yet, and we're looking at some things there, but the recent tuck pointing that was done was just to stop the water from coming in and doing more damage to the inside.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, I don't believe so, and the reason I say that is, if you remember about 4 or 5 years ago, the administration building all had to be tuck pointed too.
Yeah,
They
I
did
do
both these
remember
buildings
that.
at the same time, so I'm assuming when they did all this, they did not put any tuck pointing in the renovation of this building. And we haven't had any problems at the administration building that I'm aware. In fact, Zach and his team a year ago fixed some of the interior walls where water was coming in, and that seems to be pretty good there, so.
Yeah,
So we
hold
can
up.
get this building 100% done also.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move into the lab services report. Mr. Guinness?
Thank you, Mayor. Lab has had a pretty routine month. We've been doing our normal sampling. We've had some increases due to some requested ammonia sampling from Karma. I'm finishing up our industrial inspections later this week. Those have been going well. In doing those, I've talked to a few of the bigger industries. The holiday shutdowns are likely not going to be bad. I think CSL is going to continue. There'll be a slight reduction in flow, but they'll still have some production going, so it won't be a total shutdown there. So as far as billing goes, I wouldn't expect a major reduction as far as that goes. And then also Kensing. We've had some H2S issues with Kensing. I was just on site today. They're working on tying in their phase 1 force main replacement. They're going to do that tomorrow. And so that is part of a 2-phase process that they've started to rebuild their whole force main, and they believe that that will help stop any further H2S issues. So we'll see the results of that as they go, but they're hopeful that that will solve their problem.
Any questions for the lab services? Kind of one of those behind-the-scenes group, but largely important for the city of Kansas. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move on to financials. Does everybody have a copy of the finances in front of them? Ms. Roger, would you like to lead us through that? Let me get your mic on. Sorry.
Sure. So again, there's not much that stands out this month. We should be at 58%. We're in month 7 of the year. As you can tell from the expenses, we are running well under budget in all of the areas. There's just those couple of accounts up in administration that we've discussed several times, the audit services, because we're doing more than one audit this year as far as our charges. And then the contractual services, because we had that group that came in to do the sewer to tell us what we needed to have in our upcoming budget. Our salaries are running in line, and we did just recently have a 3 pay period, so technically we're slightly ahead of where we would be, and they're running right at the 58%. On the revenues, we are in excellent condition. Everything is running over except for a few small areas on the charges. Grass mowing and not the grass mowing, the rubbish is down a little, but not enough to be worried about. And we're hitting 60% when we only need to be at the 58. So we're in really good shape. And I did just want to say, it's hard to believe, but I'm coming up on my year anniversary. I started last year, the first day after you returned from the new year. I want to thank everybody for being patient with me until I figured out the lay of the land. I think this year we'll be able to make a few more changes and additions to what you're getting in the way of the reporting. So I look forward to making improvements.
Any questions regarding the financials? Okay. we're excited. It's coming up on a year for you, and it's gone by quickly, probably. As time
It's gone by
does.
very quickly.
But we thank you for everything that you've done, and I think the comptroller's office, I'll speak on behalf of Comptroller Kubal, we're ecstatic about where we're at with the issue numbers and everything in the office there, so thank you. Okay, we will now move on to old business and hydro plant update. Let's bring up Superintendent Newton and give you where the latest is on that.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, NORCAN was down. This time they brought a bigger team to do a site visit, kind of get a good look and a layout of everything. Looked at some plan sets, took some back with them just to again kind of get an idea how everything works and how it's all connected. As part of their kind of process to kind of rethink this and help get this going again. I did hear late last week that they got in contact with the company that has our Unit 1 turbine, and as far as I know, the plan is that tomorrow it would be loaded up in Norway, Michigan, and sent off to Canada to their shop at NORCAN. So that's very good news. That was a long time coming. It was a little bit difficult to try to locate who actually had possession of it, but we did find out, and it's all cleared up, and now it's on its way to Canada.
Right now, it's still a lot of evaluation. We expected that moving forward with the hydro plant, but it's moving forward now with different reports and different things, so.
Oh, yeah, I guess I should mention one thing too. You know, we had our generator for Unit 1 assessed. We got that report back. Generally, everything's looking okay. There's a little bit of work that can be done, that needs to be done on the bearings, but pretty expected for as much as it was used and the age of it. So that's just a minimal cost to get that thing back in tip-top shape.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you. Zach, do we have an expectation of the timing when we would hear back from the regulatory authority about our request to extend the life of the hydro plant?
As far as like our relicensing goes with FERC, yeah. So that we're I think in about year 1.5 of probably a 6 to 7 year process.
So that's down the road.
Yeah, we're well on our way doing what we need to do to keep that moving. But we won't. We're still in the process of just kind of gathering data, and really just getting everything that we need to prepare a final application.
Okay, thank you.
And that expires in 2028. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
On that initiative too, I did run into Senator Joyce, and he does want to have a meeting after the first of the year to talk about how the tax credits and how with our hydro plant, what that means to us and how that can be an advantage for the city of Kankakee, and how that new law goes into place and how we can utilize that and people working with the city of Kankakee. So a little above my pay grade of understanding, and he's going to bring the right people in so that they can talk to us. So when we get that put together, we'll let people know, and he's going to kind of give us some guidance from the state of Illinois on how to use those credits. Zach, real quick before you go, item B, concert chamber sound system. So me and myself, and sorry, I said Zach, I should say Superintendent Newton. We were supposed to get together last week. That was on me. But what we're looking at is, if you can give us a quick update, we're talking about putting the overall package together, not just with the sound system in here, but also with the audio and everything else together. So, and taking a look at that. But anything you want to add up on that? And we still got to get together and talk about it.
Right.
So we're hoping that in the January meeting, we'll come back with a plan for you for that. Okay. Thank you. Item C, and I think I forgot to bring the map. So did everyone get by email, I believe, the last month we had the presentation of the flow study? Yes, that's the map there. So you saw what we did there. You have some to hand out? Perfect. So we'll get those handed out to everybody. What we'd like to do now is take a look at these. I'll start with this as we talked about the last meeting when the presentation does. If you look at number 1 and 2, that's Lower Riverview. We'll call it a little bit Upper Riverview and Hillcrest and stuff. You'll see at one time we expected those be very orange or red. So orange and red means there's a lot of infiltration from what we're aware of. The darker the green, the better. And so if you look at the map, if you have that in front of you, look at like section number 10. My understanding is that's a time, 10 is kind of the, we'll call it the Jeffrey, south of Jeffrey area. That was some work that was done, not recently, but within the last 25 years. And you can see it's in pretty good shape there or whatever. So I think what we need to do for planning for the future is, if you remember correctly, we spent about $130,000 to do an analysis, some cammering of section 1, 2 in Hillcrest to figure out what it was. That repair there was about $5.2 million to repair everything to 100% perfection. We did not have the money to do that, but we did allocate ARPA money. We did manhole repair and we did sewer lining repair. We spent about roughly $1.3 million to do those. And that 1.3, while it's only about 20% of the overall budget, 20 to 25%, it made great reductions in the infiltration that was there. We did our worst things where our biggest flows were coming in. To me, that just shows that we have to come up with what I call a 10-year plan. How we get our whole city in a decent way. Can we ever get to 100%? That's going to take many, many years to do. But if we could do 20% in each section over the next 5 to 10 years, I think we can make a dramatic impact into a lot of that groundwater that's infiltrating into our sewer system. With that, there's basically a 3-pronged process to this. We need to take a look at whichever area we identify as the next most important. So in that report that was sent to you, they did rank them, almost 1 through 12 or so. I think right now let's take baby steps and let's rank what we think are our top 2 or top 3 areas to go next, because then we'll have to do some cammering and basically what we did before, whether that's done with in-house with our new system or whether that's gone out for bid and hired before like we did, and then come back and figure out what the worst of the worst is, and then basically trying to allocate some dollars for those repairs. I say that now because it won't be long and we'll be into budgeting season. I think in talking with Mr. Newton, the thought process is in summer of 24, we would do the cammering, figure out how bad the inflow is in that particular section and where the worst of the worst is, and probably looking at the fiscal year of, sounds like we're way out there, but we're getting into the fiscal year of what I would say 25, 26, we'd be looking at doing the manhole repair and sewer lining repair like we did before. So about a 2-year plan to do each section. You know, if we do 4 sections and you got 2-year plans, that's 8 to 10 years. That's how we get that far out. So what I wanted to talk about tonight was where this committee's consensus is of where to go. And if you really look at it, there's really 4 areas that stand out. Area 14, Area 9, I'll call it Area 11, and Area 4. Those are your orange and red areas. Area 11, and Mr. Newton, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but part of what we're looking at there is that's our downtown district. We're thinking part of that problem could be just the way our downtown is designed. It seems to spike when there's heavy rains, and so that may be saying that we've got a lot of roof drains that are tied into our sewer system. We don't know that for a fact, but maybe through some smoke testing and some things we could figure that out. But the problem is, how do you correct that? These roofs were designed to slope maybe inward versus outward into these drains. That's that may be very difficult to fix downtown at this time. So to me, in my opinion, we're looking at Section 9, Section 14, and Section 4 is probably the next 3 most critical. And Mr. Newton, do you agree with that, or at this time? Yes. Then what we would do is not only with the cammering, we own Before, if you remember, we had about 8 flow meters, plus the 3 we had, or somewhere in there. We own 3 now, correct? Yeah, we own 3. The thought is we would have the ability to move those 3 into a certain area and figure out where the worst of the areas is. Because if you look at section 9, 14, and 4, those are very large areas. It may not be that that whole area is in a bad shape. You may, I'm just going to use, let's just use section 14. Maybe it's Marycrest, that's Eastgate Industrial Park. Maybe we find out Eastgate Industrial Park isn't that bad. It's colored red because it's part of section 14, but that's a fairly new industrial park that was built in the 90s. That may be in really good shape. It may be Marycrest where we had the biggest infiltration at, and so we just need to figure out what that is. But I guess I just want to get consensus from the committee is where do we point to next? And I'm going to defer to Mr. Newton. What do you think your opinion is? Is it, of those 3, is it 9, 14, or where would you recommend that we start to head to next, you think, for that? So,
I'd say that we could start with the worst one. We had the flow meters in, they gave us this data, we followed the data, I think 9 is the worst one.
9? Okay. So if you look, they ranked them 9, 14 was number 2. They did put in downtown as number 3, and then number 4 is 4, but, so. Alderman Jones.
Yes, sir, Mayor. When we did all that work over there, did that help, or, with all of the under 3 million? I mean, how far back? I know where we went, but where are we looking at for the infiltration now that you think it will possibly coming from? Is it?
Where do I think it's coming from now still?
Oh, my God. Let's put your mic on, sorry.
I'm sorry, say again.
I was just wondering, because you put a lot of money in that area, and, I'm assuming it was underground. Where do you think that infiltration is coming from? This is pretty red, and I'm thinking we just dumped, pretty substantial in the sewer.
Cracks.
Yeah, it's probably broken lines, could be
Like down
laterals.
and even over, was nobody at General Food, so.
Well, if you would look at it right now, so let's use this weekend.
Okay.
It rained quite a bit over the last 48 hours.
Right.
That water's in the ground. All that rain that went into the ground should go into a storm sewer.
Right, okay.
Should be going to our creeks, should be going to our rivers, stuff like that. It goes into the ground and then it's getting into our sewer system through cracks, through broken pipes, and then it's going down through the sewer system into Karma and being treated when it really doesn't need to be treated because it's just rainwater.
It could be.
When we say groundwater, that's groundwater that's coming from the sky into the rain, and it's into the ground. It finds, like all water, finds open spots. So it should just be sitting in the ground somewhere, evaporating over time, drying out, or going into a storm sewer and finding a creek to run off. Instead, you've got water finding a crack or a manhole cover or something, and it's going into the sewer system. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. It could be something as simple as a pig hole in a manhole cover that we switch out the manhole cover. It could be, likewise in the manhole structure itself, the holes that they use to set it. If those don't get plugged properly, those will let water in. I'll send you a video of one we found. You'd be amazed at how much water shoots through those things.
Right, because I thought we had got it, but I mean, I know even in my area it's bad. I get it, but it's like you said, it's a big number.
It's our whole city. I mean, we've got some areas, even if you look at the green areas, so look at West Kankakee. That's probably the newest portion of Kankakee, we'll say. It's pretty green, 8, 13, 10. I'm sure there's still infiltration that's happening in there. It's just on the scale of what's the worst, the red and orange, If we get everything fixed, you may find that all those green areas, and you reanalyze it 10 years from now, then those all might become red and yellow based on what the infiltration is at that time. But right now, we're trying to figure out where most of our infiltration is coming in from the flow metering test that we did. But it is making a small difference. Again, I don't want to, so from the Karma perspective, when they do the billing down there, it's based on flow. Just because we spent $1.3 million doesn't mean we're going to save $1.3 million in flow charges and stuff. But we have seen just through 6 months at Karma that ours has gone down 0.5%, 1%. Our infiltration has reduced a little bit. What could that be from? Lots of factors. part of it could be some of the infiltration that was coming, down by the river, and that water was just coming in more than needed. Some of the videos that Zach has, and he can share those again with you, we can try to email them out. They're fascinating to see how much water was pouring into our sewer line, and it's just clear water that is just groundwater that was
Right.
infiltrating.
If some of them were, deep enough groundwater 24/7, you're getting that just ongoing.
Alderman O'Brien.
Mayor, so are we just looking to select one area now, or
Yeah,
more than one?
I think you gotta concentrate in one area. I'd love to say we could, that's why I said, I think even when I say I don't want, when I say a 10-year process, I think I might be, it's probably more like a 15 to 20-year process, but, remember, we did the last work with ARPA money, something we don't have moving forward.
Right, yeah.
We don't have ARPA money. So this will have to be built in when I work with Comptroller Kubal of where do we find $1.2 million, or where do we find, it could be as simple as we figure this all out, but the first step is going to be, whether it's in-house or outsourced, you're going to need to hand $130,000 to $150,000 just to camera and figure out where's the worst of the sections. Then we'll have to take that, come up with an analysis of what it costs to repair, and it might be that, we're going to do $600,000 of manhole repairs in 1 year, followed by $600,000 of sewer line repairs the following year, or, if things trend well and flow is still strong and our sewer numbers are strong, maybe we sit there and say we can get one section done in one fiscal year. But those are things we have to be very cautious and conservative about, but it does prove that we've got to do the things that people don't see. So I sit there and say, tuck pointing this building's not exciting. Public doesn't get anything out of it, but it's a big deal in maintaining this building for another 50 years. Fixing these sewer lines underground, again, public doesn't get to see the fruits of that labor, but it's a big deal for the city moving forward. So based on the recommendation is, I guess, Mr. Newton saying, looking at section 9, which we'll call, majority is at, call for lack of a better person, it's probably majority first ward there. Is this committee comfortable with targeting that, as that was ranked number 1 by our Robinson Engineering when they put this all together, as the next step that we would go and tackle?
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's the word.
I guess the point is trying to figure out where the worst areas are first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Mine's all in orange, and I agree to start at the opposite end with the worst. I mean, it makes the most sense.
So with that, we need to know a direction, so I can get with Mr. Newton to talk about how we go about the next step and how we do that. But Alderman Elsinga.
Mayor, Zach, maybe you can answer this. I'm looking at this. It's not the best map in the world. Is this area 9, is that all in the city of Kankakee?
Yes.
Okay, so that's our north boundaries then?
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Okay. Yeah.
Alderman Johnson.
With the new development that we have going on, either downtown or on the south side, do we have building regulations in place where they can't, I think, didn't you say like downtown, they think it's coming in from the building roofs and things like that? Do we have things in place that they're not constructed that way any longer?
Zach,
Yes.
That's Zach's team.
Yeah.
I'll let him
Okay.
answer that. But that's
Yeah,
his team.
our ordinances, you can't hook in storm drains to
Okay.
sewer. Or downspouts, gutters, that sort of thing, they cannot hook into the sanitary.
Okay, and that's what we think maybe is going on downtown?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And part of, they're looking at, could be doing some smoke testing downtown and seeing where we can make sure people aren't connected, where they may be connected. It's just some of those, I said, if you look at a lot of those downtown buildings and those older structures, the way we design buildings now is we pitch the roofs and we take the water to the edge of the building and then down downspouts. Well, in the old days, they sloped all the roofs to the center. They're coming down a downspout that's running along a column in the middle of the building, and then where's that taking it? To the basement. Well, they weren't dumping it in their basement. They were tying it into the sewer lines, and that's, if you look at my house, I've got old connections that at one time you can see the gutters in my house were into clay tile pits, I'm sure went right into the sewer line. Those have now been cut off and they're concreted over, and I'm sure at one point you guys probably did a smoke test 30 years ago there, and it's Before
Yes.
I owned a house, by the way. But probably all that house was connected.
Yes, that was in the early 2000s.
So if we were to find an issue downtown, would the buildings be grandfathered? You know, if they're currently that way, are we gonna make them go, do we have an ordinance that's gonna make them go back and spend the money to make the repairs that are gonna be needed? Sure, that'd be very costly.
I don't know how you restructure a roof without building up a whole new roof and everything else. I don't know. Luckily, it's ranked number 3, so there's 2 worse areas that we can tackle first, but in the meantime, Zach and his team can look at downtown to see how bad it is. So area 9, everybody's comfortable with proceeding next? At least try to get some cost aligned so that we can figure out how we're gonna do this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we need to know. We spent some good money on figuring this out. The point is, how can we use it for our future, so, okay. Thank you. Any other questions regarding I&I? Okay. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. We don't have a need for an executive session. Before we adjourn, I'd like to remind everyone, we are going to move the meeting starting in January back to 6 o'clock. The issue, so we'll get off at 5:30. We seem to be able to handle this most times in a 30 to 45-minute meeting. So we'll go back to 6 o'clock and give you that extra half hour. And we will have a motion. It is now 6:19. Is there a motion to adjourn? So a motion from Alderwoman Lewis.
I'll second that.
Second from Alderwoman Swanson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. See everybody in a bit.
Go get my new computer.